Hello and welcome to our 7th session in this edit mode chapter, and in this session we are going to discuss about the loop tools. It is an add-on that comes with the Blender and it's very popularly used when we are working with edit mode. So let us explore this extension. This does not come installed with the Blender, we are going to add it as an extension. And how do we add it? Come to Blender, and in Blender I am now going to come into edit preferences. And you have the two options here, get extensions and add-ons. In older version of Blender we use add-on, but right now in the newer version you have get extensions, and here I can just come here and type loop, and you have loop tools here, and click on the install button, and now this gets installed. Now see view details and see that this loop tools is enabled. Now I will close this and I will select this cube, and I am in the object mode, and if I press N, I cannot find this loop tools as of now. Even if I right click, you does not find this in the regular mode. And for this loop tools to work, I have to select this and come into the edit mode. And in the edit mode, now you have one edit option here, and in this you can see the loop tools. And in loop tools you totally have 8 tools here, and in edit tool if I right click, you can also get the same thing from here also. So now the very first thing that I am going to explore now is the bridge tool, and for this what I am going to do is I will select this cube. I have pressed A to select everything, then right click, and I am going to subdivide it, say for example some 5 times I will subdivide it, so I have more edges and vertices. And then I will press Shift D and duplicate it, and on the X axis I will move it by 5. Now I am going to come into face selection mode, and I am going to select a face over here and also a face over here. I am going to select these two faces randomly, and now if I click on the bridge button, you can see a bridge is constructed between the two, and immediately you can see all the options available for this bridge over here. And the very first option is the number of segments. Right now it is 1. If I make 2, you have 2 segments, and if I make it 3, this has 3 segments. And as I increase the segment, you have the percentage here, and I can set this percentage to 100%, and if I change the strength, you can see how this bridge is going to behave. Now right now it is in the cubic mode, and I am changing it like this, and I am going to now change it to linear mode, and you can see this is exactly straight. Or I can change it to cubic mode, and then in the cubic mode I can change this strength. Here I can see as I change the strength, it is going to change. If I decrease it, this becomes bigger like this. If I increase it, it becomes smaller like this. So I can control this, and also you have twist. I can just twist it like this. So these are the options available under the bridge tool. And apart from the bridge tool, now if I press Shift middle mouse, come over here, and I am going to select this face selection, and I am going to select these 4 faces, and after I select this, I am going to right click and subdivide it once. And after I subdivide this, now this is a square selection, and now if I press E and drag it, I get a square pillar. I will press Ctrl Z and cancel it. Now instead of the square pillar, say for example I wanted a round pillar. I want this selection to be round. Then I can make use of this second tool, which is the circle tool. So when I click on the circle, you can now see the circle tool is done, and you have the options here. And the first thing is best fit and fit inside. You have 2 options here. And apart from this, you then have flatten on or off. See, you have this option. Then you have setting the radius. I can change the radius of this circle. I can make it small or big. So I can control the radius here, and also you have this regular button on off. Okay, I will keep it on, and I can also rotate it like this. See, I will set this rotation back to 0, and finally I have the influence, means the roundness. I can make it square, or I can choose any of the in between shape by changing the influence. So this is the second tool that we use. And now if I press E, Z and move it, I will press Z. So I can just create an extrusion of this, and this is the second tool that we are going to use. I will press tab. Now I will come into the top view. I will select this entire model, press GX, and I will move it by around 6 units. I will move it to the side. Now I will press Shift A, and in the mesh, now I am going to add a grid, and here I will again press tab, and when I press tab and come into the regular view, I will come into vertex selection mode, and here I am going to select any two vertices here like this, and then I will just press GZ and move it to the top like this. And after I move this, now if I click on the third loop tool, curve, I can either click here or right click loop tools and choose curve. Then immediately you can see how this entire structure has changed into a curve. And here you have two options. One is the cubic, another is the linear. Linear means it will be a straight line. Cubic means it will be curved. And apart from this, you have restriction. Either you can use extrude only or indent only. Okay, two options are there. I will set this to none. And if I enable boundaries, only this area will be extruded and the other part will not be done. So I can switch off the boundary. I have the regular on and off here. And finally the influence. See how much of influence this is going to create. This I can control here. So these are the options I have in the curve tool. Now similarly, now I will come and select this. I will move down, and on downside I select another two vertices like this. Press GZ, and this time I will move it down, and then again I am going to choose the curve. See, I have chosen the curve. So I have two curves now. And then I will come into the edge mode. I will press Alt and select this edge. With Shift pressed, I will Alt click this edge, and now I have these two edges selected. And now if I click on curve, you can now see this entire curvature is set. I will press tab and come into the object mode. I will move to the top. I will select this, press GY and move it by 5 units. And now I am now going to press Shift A, and I am now going to add a UV sphere. So I have added a UV sphere, and in this UV sphere, now I will press tab, come into the edit mode, and now I will click somewhere to deselect everything. Come into face selection mode. Now press C and select the circle tool, and now I am going to select some of the faces like this. So now this is the faces on the circular sphere, and now if I click on flatten, you can now see this has been flattened. And in flatten you have two options. One is best fit, another is normal, and the third is view. So now from whichever angle you are seeing it, in that view it gets flattened. See, now this is normal and this is view. So now it is getting flattened in this direction. So based on the viewing angle, it is going to get flattened. So now I will set this back to best fit. So I can now create this kind of flattened layers immediately by making use of this flatten option. Okay, so now I can also control this influence here and change the amount of flattening happening here. Okay, so now I will next press tab and see I can create structures like this. I will come into top view, press GY -5 and I will move it to the bottom, and then I will press Shift A, and now I am going to again add a grid, but in this number of segments I am going to just add 3 subdivision along X and around 5 subdivisions along Y. And if I press tab and come here, so I will come into the vertex selection mode and I will come into the top view, and I am going to just move some vertices front and back like this. So one vertex is like this, G, and move it here, and another vertex is here. So if these vertices are not correctly aligned, I am just going to come into the edge mode, alt click this entire edge, come into the vertex mode, and now if I choose this G stretch option, you can immediately see this entire thing get stretched straight. See, this now becomes straight, and I can also change its influence here like this. And you can also have option spread evenly, you have project, you have spread, and you have spread evenly. You have 3 options here. I will just press tab, I will just select this, press G and move it and place it somewhere here, and now I will press Shift A, and I am now going to add a UV sphere. Say for example, I want to now create a phone receiver. So to create the phone receiver, I am going to press tab. Now I am pressed 7 and I am in the top view. I will press tab. I am going to enable toggle X-ray view, and in the vertex mode I will select all the vertices at the bottom like this, press X and delete the vertices. So I will also delete these vertices here, this also I will delete. Okay, so now I have a half sphere like this. Press A, Shift D and press X and move it to the side. Like right now this is not filled, I can just select this edge tool, alt click on this edge and press F to fill it, and here also I will disable toggle X-ray and then alt click on this edge and press F to fill. So I have got 2 receivers like this, or I will press Control and 1 to come into the back view, and actually apart from this I will hide all other objects. So for that I will come into view, local view, toggle local view, so that I am seeing only this object. Now here I am now going to select some of the faces, say 1, 2, 3 and 4, and similarly even here I am going to select the 4 faces 1, 2, 3 and 4. And first thing is I am going to right click, is subdivide it a little, then I will right click, go to Looptools, and I am going to convert it into a circle, and here I will switch off the radius. Okay, and I have created a small circle like this, and now I want these 2 to be connected. If I use bridge, what happens is if I right click and choose bridge, see it bridges like this. I doesn't want this to bridge like this. This should be in a curved shape like this. So for that I will edit, undo it, and now what I am now going to do is I am just going to select any one of these faces. That is, I will come into edge selection mode, alt click and select this entire edge circle. See here, this entire circle I am going to select this. I will select this edges, or I will press 7 and come into the front view. Now I will press Shift D to duplicate it, and I am going to place it somewhere here, and I am going to slightly rotate it like this, then again Shift D it, and I am going to place it somewhere here, and I am going to rotate it straight like this, and then I will press Shift D, I will bring it here, press R and I am going to rotate like this. And after I rotate this, I am going to shift alt click all these segments like this. Say I will select this full segment like this. Then I will alt shift and select this ring, alt shift and select this ring, then alt shift and select this ring, and finally here alt shift and select all these rings like this. So I am going to make a selection like this. So I have selected, sorry, not this one, this one. So I have made the selection like this, and after I make this selection, now I am going to use the option loft, and when I click on loft, you can now see that you have got a structure like this. So I have got the structure, and even here I can change the number of segments, and I can either make it cubical or linear. I can set this, and also I can change the strength here. I will keep the strength at 0 as of now, and then remove faces, let it be on. Loop is not required, I am not going to loop it. Twist, I am going to make it 0. Okay, I am not going to twist it. And with these settings done, now I have now got a somewhat a structure like a phone receiver. Then I will select again this, press tab. For the next option, we are going to make this curve a little better. So I am going to now select, use the edge selection tool, press Alt A to deselect everything, and now I will enable this toggle X-ray and then press Alt A, and now if I use this C circle selection and select all these edges, right click and cancel this selection. So this entire edge is selected. Now I will come into select loops, and I am going to now choose edge loops. And now what happened is all the edge loops are selected, and with this selected, now if I press 7 and now in the top view, if I click on the relax button, you can now see I can now set the relaxation. I can either make it 3 or iterations 5 or iterations 10, and you can now see this entire surface appears smooth. And now for the next example, I am now going to come into view, local view and toggle local view to come out, and we are now seeing all other objects. I will press 7, come into the top view, press G and move it and place it somewhere here. Now in this case, I am going to press Shift A and I am going to add a cube, and after I add a cube, I will come into the edit view, I will press Ctrl R, and I am going to now actually create some segments here, and I am going to place these segments at different positions like this, and also I am going to press enter to apply it. Then I will again press Ctrl R and add some segments like this. Okay, and then I will place somewhere here, and now you can see now that I have wrongly placed these edges so that it is not equally distributed. Now I am now going to select, say for example, all these edges over here. One, with shift click I will select all these edges, and now if I come and enable spacer, now what is happening is when I click on the spacer, you can now see all these are now equally placed. So I will change the influence and I can show it to you. See how it is going to move. So when if the input level is parallel, it will change everything, but if I select selection, now only this part is going to move and the others will not be selected. But if I select parallel, the entire thing will move. And also in cubic, I also have the linear setup also. So finally, I will come to file, save as, I will save this as 3_7 Looptools examples, and then I am going to save. We have completed the loop tools, and we have now covered almost all the edit mode tools, and from the next section we are going to implement what we have learned by creating some practical models.